Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Online OffStream. I'm Razzie, and I'm here with.
Estella, hi everyone.
Hello, hi. Hope you're all doing well. It has been a while since our last episode, but we're back. We're here with a new episode, and today we actually have a topic, which is pretty exciting.
Yes,
Um,
we have a viewer question, which is super amazing. So thank you to whoever submitted this question. I
yeah.
don't remember their
So,
name.
so this is
I'm
coming
really
from
prepared.
Jirai, who in my
Thanks,
Discord
Dry.
server actually gave the idea for today's topic of kind of talking about how, well, the question was put in as how can people go about like reacting to or getting used to like VTubers quitting like streaming in the VTuber community. When somebody quits, it gets referred to as like graduating. The question was, or the topic was, why do VTubers graduate and how should fans move forward? Now, with our podcast being me, a VTuber, and Estella, a facecam streamer, we've kind of decided to change it up a little bit where we're going to be talking about just streamers in general, like VTubers
Yeah.
graduating, facecam streamers quitting, and like, like it happens, why it happens, and
And
how
I
to
also
just
think
like
we'll
kind of deal with it.
probably we'll probably talk a little bit also about streams kind of evolving and when streamers take a break and things that kind of go along that same line of not necessarily quitting, but distancing themselves a little bit from stream.
Hmm.
Because I think Twitch as a whole, or just any kind of content creation, can be, um, people have different eras in their life of how much that's a huge part of their lives. And I think, as some of you may know, if you're listening and you're from some of my streams, you will know I'm currently on like a little bit of a regroup, refresh
Yeah.
journey when it comes to stream. So I think it's also a way to kind of tie that in as well, is just kind of talking about how streamers, whether VTuber or Facecam, can kind of evolve, and sometimes that leads to quitting, or it sometimes just leads to a break. But I think both of us have had a good amount of experience with both taking breaks and also having those moments of leaving, and then also as viewers when we watch some of our friends and fellow content creators leave the Twitch space and how to kind of deal with that and process it. And yeah, I think this is a really interesting topic. I love a
Yeah.
viewer question,
I
and this is a great
this
great
is like our
question to start with.
first like
Yeah,
viewer question slash topic that's been introduced to us. So we've both been like really excited to record. I remember like the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh my god, like Estella, we have like a
yeah,
topic. Like somebody provided us with the topic.
so
It's so cool.
exciting.
And so yeah, so like here we are recording it. And we both experienced like um streamers just like kind of quitting. Not even like a heads up quit, just kind of like gone completely.
Yeah,
Um, and it can be really tough to deal with, but it does happen. Um, and so like, I guess we'll start with like why it happens. Like why do
yeah.
people kind of just stop? Why do VTubers graduate? Why do streamers just stop streaming kind of thing? Um, and like I think like my honest answer to that is just like a wide variety of reasons. It could just
Yeah,
be that like people don't want to stream anymore, right? It could just be as simple as that. Or, like life picks up, life gets crazy, and they just don't have time for it anymore. And so they just decide like ultimately it's just the best decision to stop. But there's just like there's a wide variety of reasons why people just kind of stop streaming,
I
why
think
VTubers graduate.
one of the things that I love so much about Twitch is that there are so many different kinds of people and so many different people from different walks of life
Hmm.
that kind of Twitch brings us all together, right? We
Yeah.
end up creating community and having these places um, where we wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to meet these people unless it was for Twitch. And I love that part, but I think it's also something to remember. It's like everybody has stuff going on offline. So I think a lot of people step back from Twitch or take breaks or end up leaving because things off ugh, English offline end up becoming very overwhelming. And especially right now, I mean, we're recording this, what, April 30th,
Yep.
2025. Anybody who pays attention to the world knows that it's a weird time right now. It's a complicated, layered time, and so trying to give your best online can be very hard. When just like the state of the world is what it is, let alone the individual lives. So I think that's a big thing to remember when people choose to step away. It's that it's there's so much that we don't necessarily showcase
Yeah.
in our streams. You know, some people are parents, some people are working, five jobs and
Hmm.
streaming. There's so many different kinds of people doing so many different things to survive.
Yeah.
Um, that even though it's hard, obviously, as viewers to see your favorite streamers kind of needing to take a break or step away completely, it's always good to remember like streamers are very much people too
Yeah.
and have all kinds of stuff going on that they maybe don't talk about on stream
Yeah.
because stream is a good escape for a lot of them.
That's majority of the reason like why people just stop. It's because life gets really busy, right?
Yeah.
I know of a lot of VTubers that have graduated just because their life has been like too chaotic or too hectic, and they've ultimately decided that like, hey, I just need to quit and I need to graduate because like I can't keep up with it anymore. Like people could take a break, but sometimes if they're done, then they're just done and that's it. You only get to see so much of a person through their stream, right? Like
Yeah.
when somebody streams, what they show you through their stream is what they allow for you to see.
I
You
also
don't
think
know like the whole story.
with VTubers it's also I think a little bit more challenging to sometimes pick up on their other stuff because a lot of VTubers play a character,
Yeah,
they use a different voice or a voice mod.
yeah,
So you don't always get the full picture of the person behind the character on screen.
yeah.
So I think that makes it a little bit more challenging,
I think
at least from a viewer perspective.
yeah, for sure, right? Because it's so easy to kind of like hide a lot more of yourself as a VTuber. And I think like I know why this question was like the topic was brought up because in the VTuber community actually there was a really big VTuber, like a corporate VTuber, we like to refer to like there's companies out there like HoloLive,
Hmm.
VShojo, those are like corporate companies. And so there's a big streamer who, or a VTuber that was out there for a really long time, who just recently actually graduated. And so they're like not streaming with that VTuber anymore. They've just like, yeah, put out their announcement. And so a lot of people were really sad and like
Yeah.
really upset about it. Like they're sad that she's not streaming anymore and like they don't know what to do, but it's like it happens, like
Yeah.
um who knows what the reason is, right? Like nobody's going to know unless like their family or their friends or whoever they decided to tell. Like nobody truly knows, but could just be that like they decided they want to go in a different direction, and this is the same thing for like any streamer. They decided to go in a
Yeah.
different direction, or um life just got too chaotic. There must be things going on that we don't know about, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
and then, like, especially with corporate VTubers, they can't really, like, take a break or um, kind of be like, okay, I don't want to work with this corporation anymore because they lose, like, their rights essentially to that model because it
That
belongs to the
character. Yeah.
company. So it's
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that come into play when people kind of decide to
One
quit or take a
thing
break.
One thing that I've always found interesting about the VTuber world,
Hmm.
because obviously as a face cam streamer, I have a certain amount of understanding of what goes into, you know, creating content that way.
Yeah,
But something obviously getting to know you and your stream career over time, and we've talked a lot about VTuber stuff.
yeah,
I always find interesting the people who graduate and then continue content creation.
yeah.
Which I know is a very controversial thing that
I
happens in
am
the VTuber
very
world.
opinionated about that. I hate
I
that
know, that's
shit.
why I wanted to bring it up.
I hate that shit because when somebody graduates, when a VTuber graduates, it's essentially the same thing as like a facecam streamer just quitting, right? Like that's what graduating
Yeah.
is in the VTuber community. And so as a streamer, you have all of these people who look up to you, who enjoy your company, who enjoy your content. Like you don't necessarily realize it, but you mean something to these people that watch you and hang out with
Yes.
you, right? And so when you quit, when you leave, when you announce that stuff, like it takes a toll on the people who you're announcing it to because
Yes.
like you mattered to them. And so the to the people who are like, "Oh, I'm graduating," and then come back like 2 weeks later, like don't do that shit. What the
No.
fuck is wrong with you? Like you're just
Yeah.
pulling on people's heartstrings, and essentially at the end of the day, it's attention seeking. It's really messed up to be
Definitely.
doing stuff like that. Like
Definitely.
that's why I personally think when people do that, like any sort of streamer, don't announce that you're quitting. Take like think about it, take some time to yourself and decide, am I actually quitting? Is this going to be it or do I just need to take a break? And
Yes. A hundred
taking a
percent.
break, you can take a break and then all of a sudden be like, okay, I'm actually quitting. That's it. But don't
Yeah.
just be like I'm quitting and then come back like 2 weeks later. That's really not the move. It's not a cool thing to do because you're
No.
affecting so many people.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we had this conversation last year, I think around TwitchCon time. Um, and I feel like you have a very obviously because VTubing is that what we're calling? That's correct.
Yeah,
VTubering,
VTubing. Yeah,
VTubing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, is very much your world. I found it very interesting because I think a lot of face cam streamers and people who maybe don't watch VTubers don't have the experience of that
Hmm.
except when it comes to face cam streamers, it's like that's happened quite a few times
Oh,
with people that I've
absolutely.
watched. And I think it's weird that people as content creators do that.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've had to take a couple breaks, as I mentioned. Like I'm kind of on a re regrouping break
Hmm.
right now. But there's never been one moment where I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna quit,"
And then
or
come
like
back
I'm
like the
gonna
next day.
exactly. It's like
Yeah.
I'm very upfront and honest with my audience about it, where it's like I can't promise that I'm going to be on a full schedule right now. I can't make, a grand date of my, explicit return.
Yeah.
But no, I'm here and I'm thinking about you guys and kind of creating content alongside of break,
Right.
But it would never occur to me as a content creator to just be like, I quit and then actually return.
It's
It's
really fucked
crazy.
up. It's so messed up. And the amount of
Ultimate
people that I've
gaslight.
seen do that, it's so gaslighting. Yeah. Estella and I have been streaming for like 4 years.
Hmm.
And like I could say in the 4 years that I've been streaming, the amount of people that I've seen like graduate um is ridiculous. Like graduate and then come back shortly after graduating. It's like if you graduate, like now I'm not a VTuber pro by any means, right? To me, the term graduating means that when you announce you're graduating, you're done with everything. Like you don't
Yeah.
post on that social media account, you don't stream anymore, you don't necessarily create content anymore. And so people will announce that they're graduating, but then like just renew their services like they normally would, as if they didn't announce that they're quitting, that they're done.
See, I find it so interesting that somebody would think that that would be like a good choice. Also, like from a metric, like number side of things,
Hmm.
it's like somebody says they're quitting, a lot of people unfollow.
Yeah,
Like a lot of people clear them out of their like list, right?
yeah.
Why would you do that? That's like setting yourself up for failure.
Well, it's because it's the pulling on people's heartstrings, right? Like
Yeah, very true.
I think I honestly, my honest opinion is that I think a lot of people do it as like clout or a way to
Mm,
um like clickbait people so that they
yeah.
grow even more because I have seen it where people have graduated and after they announce their graduation, they've grown and then come back and they're like, "Oh, I'm back now and I'm going to stream and do all these things. And I'm like, okay, one, that is clever, but two, it's fucked up. And three,
Very.
why would you do that to yourself? Like, how can you have the energy to do that and then mess around with other people who are going to be so upset that you're
Yeah.
leaving? So it's
I
just,
also
it is
find it
crazy to me.
interesting with VTubers because I know some people obviously go through a rebrand or they get a new model or they have, something that kind of changes on their channel.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that happens, that's totally fine. That's normal. That happens with face cam streamers.
Yeah.
People
I
rebrand their colors or whatever.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with like somebody taking a break and then coming back like rebranded.
Hmm.
Um like as long as you like are announcing it and letting people know and stuff like that. But if you graduate or if you quit and you come back and you're like completely
Yeah.
rebranded,
Oh, that's wrong.
that's so wrong because not to call anybody out, but I'm sure if you're a part of the VTuber community and then you might know who I'm talking about. But I've seen actually I guess there's a couple people. I've seen enough at this point where people have announced on their main account that they're graduating, they're going to be done. But then make a brand new account with a different
Messy.
name, different VTuber, different persona, but it's the same person just under a new account.
See, that feels dishonest to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like, I understand a rebrand, but if it's still the same person, it should be under the same
You're just
thing. You can change your username, you can change a bunch of stuff,
yeah.
but it can be like the same account.
Yeah. And like I don't know, like I also don't think there's anything wrong with announcing a graduation and then coming back like a year later.
Yes. Some time.
Exactly. Yeah, because like I do find like I personally know myself that if I were to say I'm done streaming, I can see myself coming back to it because I do
Yeah.
enjoy it so much. I would never truly ever quit. Um I would take a very long break
Yeah.
and then come back.
Definitely. I see that being very realistic because for me, like taking a couple weeks or what's been now about a month away, it's kind of like sometimes that just needs to happen because life
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
And like I thought about it. I thought about like, is this something that I can say that I would never want to do again? Absolutely not. This is such a huge part of my life. It's a huge part of who I am that like taking a step back for
Mhm.
my mental health is vital.
Yeah.
But it also didn't mean that I completely am like done. And
Right.
I don't think I will ever be completely done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
So like, yeah, I don't think that there's anything wrong with quitting or graduating and then coming back like a year later. Um, it's just when people leave and they come back like 2 weeks later or like a month or 2 months later kind
That's
of thing.
just
It's like that's
messy.
yeah, like why would you even like I don't know, even like 6 months I think is too soon to like quit and then
If
come
you're
back like
saying you're
6 months
quitting,
later. Yeah.
like if you're quitting, that feels wrong, especially when it's like when you make a deal of quitting.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
if you say like, "Oh, this is my last stream," and you like make it like a whole event and
Yeah.
you do this whole thing.
Because that's the thing,
That's
like people
manipulative.
make like for VTubers, at least from what I've seen, is people will make like a very like emotional post and
Yeah.
then have it as like a picture and post that picture up and be like, like I'm graduating, services will no longer be like on this channel anymore and blah blah blah. And then they'll just like delete everything and then come back like months later. And it's like, why? I don't get it.
Yeah. That doesn't
Um
that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So it's like, like streamers, VTubers do quit because of actual legitimate reasons like life getting busy. Maybe they just don't want to stream anymore. It's not a thing that they decide they want to do. Um, streaming's just a hobby for a lot of people, and sometimes they get lucky and it really picks up for them and they build a big community. And it's like, that wasn't the goal. It's cool that it happened, but this wasn't a permanent thing for them. They want to do a different hobby.
Mhm.
Um, many reasons, but then there's obviously also reasons where people like to use it as clout chasing and clickbait, which is really fucked up.
Definitely.
So, unfortunately, it does happen. It does suck, especially when, like, we are streamers, but we're also viewers ourselves. We have
Yes.
a crap ton of streamers that we watch and that we are in their communities and stuff. And it does get sad when, like, somebody who you enjoy watching just stops streaming one day. Like, there is somebody that I used to watch. Um, um, what's their name? Rubisaurus.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes.
were really sweet. They were really cool from like
They're
the
lovely.
streams and stuff. I really like their vibes a lot. Um, and then they just stopped. They just left, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's really sad. Um,
Yeah.
and it does suck. Like, you get a little sad. Um, and it just feels like, especially if it's a streamer that you're watching and you've watched their content for a really long time and they just stop ending, it's like finishing a really good TV show or a really good movie. You just kind of feel that like empty inside because it's like,
Yes.
I really enjoyed this. I really liked taking that time out of my day to be there and hang out and like watch whatever it is that I'm watching. Um,
Yes.
it does suck, but it's like at the end of the day, you do have to just move on because, like you said earlier, like streamers are also people. Like, life goes on, people go on, and it's just kind of like you just
Yeah.
got to keep trekking along.
Unfortunately, a lot of the people that I kind of found Twitch with, ended up joining communities or becoming friends with people. A lot of them don't actually stream anymore. I
Hmm.
think um a majority actually don't stream anymore now that I'm thinking about it. Um and it's unfortunate because it's like you kind of build your routine like with their streams, and you kind of they become a part of your life in a way. And I think that's why for me I find it so hard sometimes to not be live, because I know that like as a viewer of somebody else,
Hmm.
like how their streams become a part of my life, I know that my streams have become a part of a lot of other people's lives.
Yeah.
So sorry to my amazing viewers. I apologize. I'll be back soon. Don't worry. But I know like
Estella's not
thinking about some
quitting.
of
They're
those
just
streams,
taking a break.
I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. Just taking a break because I had a minty beat. We're all good. um, but yeah, a lot of the people that I used to watch don't even stream anymore, and it's like I wish that some of them would make a return,
Hmm.
but some of them, as I said, like our parents, or were moving or had some like very big life altering things happen for them, and it's like as a viewer it sucks, but also then looking at it from the streamer perspective, it's like it makes sense. Like you have to take care of yourself, and you have to
Yeah,
take care of your offline life um first. Like you have to protect yourself
exactly.
and
And I'm
do what you
sure
got to do.
like our listeners out there and viewers like also understand that, right? Like, there are people out there who are understanding, like, get it that streamers have their lives and that get busy and stuff like that too. So it's like, yeah, whenever somebody that you really enjoy watching quits or graduates, it sucks. It's very sad, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end, right? Like, they could have other social media accounts that they might be active on or whatever. Um, some people keep their discords active. You can always like hang out on their
Yeah,
Discord server and talk to them through there. A lot of people still like to be in touch with the community that they built. Just because they're not streaming anymore doesn't mean that they're not going to be online anymore. um, and
exactly.
so it's like, like there's always something that you can do um, to still kind of like reminisce, but
Yeah.
there's nothing that you can do to like bring a person back to streaming, like if they decide to graduate or quit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with VTubers using the word graduate also, I mean
I will
I didn't
say
know what that
also,
meant
it's a very weird
until you
term
told
in
me.
my opinion. I've always
I
said that. I don't know why we use the term graduating.
I didn't know what that was until we talked about it. Like I will say my knowledge of VTuber lingo and VTuber anything is from you. So, um Uh, but the fact that that's kind of the word, it's like I think it's a good word because it also is like leaving that chapter and moving forward.
Yeah.
Like when you graduate from school, right? You close the chapter and you move forward. And I think that's a really good word to look at from the viewer perspective of like, okay, this person has given their all for this and that's great and they're moving on to better things for them. So I think that's the best way to look at it, and I like the word. I don't know why it's there, but I like it.
So I actually just looked this up. So this comes
Okay.
from the Hololive Wikipedia page. Hololive is a big VTuber company. And it says graduation is a term describing the end of activity of a VTuber. The term was inherited from a Japanese idol industry where, after a certain amount of time or due to circumstance, an idol would graduate from their group, which results in the end of their activities as a member of that group. It then also says this is from the VTuber Wikipedia. Another holdover from idol groups is the use of the term graduation to refer to a VTuber retiring from their character and slash or leaving an agency on amicable terms.
Okay.
So yeah, so it comes from um the big corporate VTuber groups, and because like Hololive, VShojo, all of those groups have such a whole like a big um hold on the VTuber community, that term just got carried over. And so that's why people use the term graduation. We just learned something new.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
I
like
personally
the
didn't know where
word.
it came from because I'm like,
Yeah.
why do we use the word graduation?
I like it. I think it's a good word to describe kind of what happens post somebody leaving
Yeah.
Twitch. I mean, I think everyone has like their seasons, their eras of
Hmm.
doing different things in their life, and unfortunately, a lot of people Twitch is an era for them,
Yeah.
and I think for us, it's gone through ups and downs, but I think it is kind of like a
It's
consistent
always
through
gonna go
line.
through ups and downs.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
there's always an up and down, but it's kind of a through line of our lives. Um, in some way will be connected to content creation. Um, but I think Twitch specifically is an era for a lot of people, so it makes sense. And I like the graduation word as to describe that. I think
Yeah.
that needs to be transferred into face cams a little bit. It's like you've graduated from Twitch University. Have a great
Yeah.
day.
You know what? Like, this is not even related to the topic, but there's always so much like war wagering between VTubers and facecam streamers. Like, at the end of the day, they're both streamers. Like, you're both streamers.
Yeah.
Facecam, whether you're a facecam or you're a VTuber, at the end of the day, you're still a streamer.
I
Doesn't
never
matter.
understood there's like
The
beef
headbutting.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't see, I think we're a really good like example
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
of like how that isn't like it shouldn't be a thing
Exactly.
because
We literally
why
met through
right.
Twitch. You're a facecam streamer. I'm a
Yeah.
VTuber. And like, we've made it work.
We've made it work. We both create content individually, but when we create content together,
Yeah.
we're very like respectful of each other's
Yeah.
like lanes, if you will.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
like, I don't know, people just like having beef with people rather than
Oh,
actually creating
absolutely.
like genuine friendships.
People
Like,
just want
I
to
don't
hate to
understand.
hate, is what it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly. But if
um,
anybody's a VTuber or a facecam streamer listening and you want to make friends, don't feel like you have to stick only in your VTuber or only in your facecam
yeah,
lane.
that's the thing. Like, I noticed, like, a lot of VTubers, which it makes sense, right? A lot of facecam streamers gravitate to other facecam streamers, and VTubers gravitate to VTubers. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing saying that like VTubers can raid into facecam streamers or facecam streamers raid into VTubers and
Yeah.
build that kind of connection and friendship and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
that needs to just like go away completely.
Yeah. I think some of it, I will say, is kind of the anonymity of VTubing.
Hmm.
That from face cam streamers, it's like we put all of our business always very much out there,
Yeah.
and so sometimes it's kind of like, oh, does this person want to be friends because they're very like they don't present themselves as themselves all the time.
Right.
Um, I mean, obviously the only difference of what you do online is that you just aren't like your actual face, but you're still you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you don't really like play a character. I mean, you riz it up sometimes, but like you're still very much like you. So I think that would be something that holds people back a little bit with it,
Yeah.
but like still talk to people, make friends. Like
Exactly. Yeah. It's
you
so
don't have to be friends
funny
with everyone, but
how, like, I guess side topic again, but like how online I like really work up the riz, but then like in
you do.
person I'm just like,
You're a shy little
hey, I'm just
guy.
really shy.
It's really I find it very amusing at like being in your chat because it's like you're still very much you and there's not like a huge difference.
Right.
But obviously we put on like a little bit more
Yeah. It's
glitter,
always
if you will.
like um what I've said with Jen, where like we turn it up to like a 10, whereas like off stream we
Yes.
could be at any of the other levels.
Very true. Very true. I
Yeah.
find it very funny though, because sometimes like you'll really be risen it up and hey yo every 5 seconds, and I'm like, damn
Who
Reggie,
is this person?
who is
Turn
this
it
man?
down.
I just find it very funny.
But yeah, that was like a little bit of a sidetrack.
What do
Going
you
back,
expect
like
from us?
literally, I was like, wait a minute. I also wanted to bring this up. Sidetrack, but here we go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like as for like dealing with, your favorite streamers or VTubers graduating or quitting, um, taking a little bit of a break, like at the end of the day, you just have to respect it. Like
Yeah.
there's other streamers out there, not saying that you have to replace that streamer. You have to find somebody to replace that streamer because nobody's going to take that spot. Nobody's going to
Exactly.
take the enjoyment or the excitement that you got from the streamer that you watched that quit. But if you enjoy watching streams, if you enjoy watching like face cams or VTubers or any stream, like there's so many streamers out there, you're going to meet somebody that kind of gives you that fulfillment. Um,
And a lot of people continue to create content off of stream.
exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, something that to me during my break currently that has meant the most to me has been some of my loyal viewers that have
Hmm.
been with me for a very long time posting something in the Discord or sending me a DM or sending me a random TikTok. Just kind of having that normal interaction.
Yeah.
And I find that the viewer also then appreciates it too, where
Yeah.
it's like you're obviously making my day on a break being like, oh, they're still thinking about me or they're whatever. But it also can help in the process of kind of realizing that maybe they're not going to be streaming or whatever, that it's like they don't just disappear.
Right.
You can still post in their Discord, you can still like their Instagram posts or their stories, or give them a retweet or whatever.
Yeah.
you know because most people don't just completely disappear
No.
offline. You can still have some contact.
Yeah. It is, of course, harder for like bigger creators, right? Like you can't really like go out and
Yes.
message a creator and stuff like that. I have to sneeze. 1 second. I did it.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Salut à votre santé.
Merci. En français, s'il vous
En
plaît.
français.
But yeah, for like bigger creators, like corporate VTubers or like,
Yeah,
like partnered streamers and stuff like that. Like,
it's a
well,
little bit of a
not all
different.
partnered streamers, but most partnered streamers, it can be tough to kind of like reach out, because like they do have rules and stuff set aside where,
Yes,
like just because you're a member of their community, you're not necessarily like a friend kind of thing.
definitely.
And they wouldn't like appreciate a DM or
Yeah,
something
no,
kind of
definitely
thing.
be
But
cautious of that. I mean more in like sharing something in the Discord and tagging them in it, or like
yeah, 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 yeah,
following their boundaries and their lines.
yeah,
Because also, like, there are some people that I've had to also separate from
yeah.
within this break of like, okay, we're drawing boundaries. We have to be respectful because, again, at the end of the day, we're creators,
Hmm.
and you may know a certain part of my life, but you don't know all of our business.
Yeah,
So yeah, there are different levels to it, but yeah, still trying to interact or stay in contact with that community more so
yeah,
than just the individual.
yeah, exactly. I constantly separate myself from Estella. Don't want DMs, don't want to be bothered.
Block me after we literally you unblock me every week for our little catch up, and then you block me immediately after. It's
Imagine.
really tough,
The sad
guys.
thing is that I would do something like that as a joke.
Please don't. I'll cry.
I
As
would
long
never
as
do
if
it
you
to you.
told me
I'd do
you
it
were
to somebody
doing it,
else, but I would do it.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm like, I know where you live.
I will show up at your door
I will show up at your door.
and stab you with a knife.
No, not a full stab, just a threat.
Just a little like poke.
Little poke, just to remind you that I could.
Uh,
Oh,
that's scary.
danger. Kidding. Love you, baby.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's there's a circle of life, then there's a circle of streaming
Yes.
where
There's the circle of content creation as a whole too.
yeah, the circle of content creation as a whole, where sometimes people will start it as just a, oh hey, this is a hobby, I'm gonna do this for fun, or some people will do it as a serious thing, and sometimes just down the road they realize, okay, I can't actually keep doing this anymore, or like I've had fun with it, but it's time for me to put it to rest, and people just stop streaming. Unfortunately, it happens, but the circle of content creation, and you just kind of gotta keep
To ride
going.
the wave.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's absolutely okay to be sad about one of your favorite streamers quitting and no longer creating content, but don't stay in that sadness.
No,
Don't hold
definitely
on to
don't.
it. I like to tell people, and like I tell this to myself too, hold on to the good things. Um, Sit in the sadness, sit in the feelings, like sit in whatever feelings you're sitting in, and then go on with that, because like I'm sure, like, you know, the content creator would appreciate that you're thinking about them, but I'm sure they wouldn't want you sitting there wallowing in like whatever feeling you're
Definitely.
feeling and not moving on.
Yes. I also think that can be applicable in not only this conversation. Like we've had a few uh heart to hearts where either one of us was feeling sad about something, and
Hmm.
I think it's a really healthy way to look at sadness as a
Hmm.
whole. It's like, feel it, feel the feels,
Yeah.
go through it, process it how you need to process it, but then also be able to kind of put it on the shelf and keep moving.
Hmm.
Um, and especially with something like this, where it's like, of course, you're going to have big feelings about some of your favorite creators not being as accessible.
Yeah.
Um, but it also is something where you can take the good things and take the joy of that and apply those things and those feelings to more good things in the future.
Yeah. I will say, like looking at it from a viewer's perspective, this is great. Looking at it and saying it out loud as a streamer, I'm like, oh yeah, I hate reminding myself of this. But your internet footprint is always going to be there.
I don't want to think about that.
Anything you put on the internet is always going to be there. So it's like, hey, your
I
favorite streamer quit, your favorite VTuber graduated, they have an internet footprint. It's always going to be there.
always can check the VODs.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about that. The idea of me as Eloquente just like being on the internet forever, like that really leaves a mark on the soul. Oof.
Yeah. That's your internet footprint.
Honestly, I own it. I own
As
it.
you should. As you should. Literally, like, as they say, to be cringe is to be free. I don't really know if that was cringe. It was very creative and talented.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Guess me up.
But own everything you do. Own up to it.
To a certain degree, I think both of us, our internet footprint, as far as the content that we've created, is very like mild comparatively to others
Yeah.
that we've created. I mean, I think even your more saucy internet footprint, I still think is mild comparatively.
Yeah. It's cool that I
Comparatively,
talked about pierogies jizzing all over me, you know?
I think so. I think yep. It's really chill, really cool, very calm.
Very validating. Thank you.
But you're welcome. Listen, I am your cheerleader. Mm-mm-mm. Oh my
um,
goodness.
well, I think we'll call it there for this episode.
Yes.
Huge thank you again to Jirai for um the feedback on the topic. This was an incredible one. Like
Yes.
we were so
Thank you so much
excited
for the
to record
question.
today's episode. Um, because we had like our first like major topic to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of opened up like the thought process of kind of talking about like VTubing versus like facecam streaming and stuff like that. And
Yes.
we could talk about that in like our next episodes or episodes to come. But with that also being said, like anybody listening to the episode, if you made it this far and you have an idea of what you'd like for us to talk about, let us know. We will definitely record an episode, give you a little shout out on our podcast episode.
Sorry.
Hopefully, not forget who it is that gave us the
I'm so
feedback.
sorry. I apologize.
It's
Okay.
also because I didn't
Listen,
tell Estella who it came from.
exactly. Also, we both have
I just really wanted to
this
gaslight.
gaslight gatekeep girl boss.
Exactly.
Um, something that I think is really cool about our podcast is also the kind of crossover from our communities.
Hmm.
You know, so like this question came in your Discord from one of your community members.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's really cool that obviously like this is our little joint spot.
Yeah.
So I feel like it also makes sense that like a viewer from your community would be a viewer that you knew
Right. Yeah.
and talked
Exactly.
about first. But thank you so much for submitting the question. I think that's so cool. Thanks
Yeah.
for asking it.
It means a lot.
And we
Thank
look
you, like,
forward.
for listening to our podcast and
Yeah, that's so
just
cool.
listening to us yap. We really appreciate it a lot.
And I hope we get some more questions in the future. We have some fun episodes pre-planned out for this season 2 of our podcast.
Yeah.
But getting viewer questions I think is so special, and I think it really bridges the gap of online
Hmm.
content creation when we get to interact with different viewers. So thank you to anybody who is listening and to anyone who leaves a comment with a question.
Yeah.
Please do that. You can also submit questions to us on Blue Sky and X, and you can use the hashtag Online OffStream Pod hashtag on both so that we can see them. And you can also leave them as a comment on our YouTube video as well, because this goes
Yeah.
up on Spotify and YouTube.
There's so many places that you can give us like our next topic on. My Discord, Estella's Discord, on our Twitter, on our Blue Sky, on YouTube. You can put in the comments. On Spotify, you can actually make comments too, which is very interesting.
Ooh,
Yeah, we would appreciate it. If you want to be the cool person to give us our next topic,
a
put it
little
there.
shouty.
I think Discord is probably the best place to bring up a topic idea. But you
Yeah.
can do it anywhere. Discord, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you want to. The choice is yours. But we'd appreciate it. I'm desperate. Give us topics.
Give us some
Give
questions.
us all the topics.
Speaking of where all the places that they can ask for questions, where are all the places that they can find you?
I could be found on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. TikTok, YouTube, at Estella M. Stone. Where can they find you?
I can be found on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and other sites that I'm not going to mention on the podcast at Razzie Aliza. Thank you guys so much for watching. Not watching, listening.
Thanks for listening. We hope you had fun with this podcast episode. We'll see you all in our next one.
We'll catch you in the next.
Bye-bye.
Bye.